the $7 million JFK Airport heist that still haunts investigators. The metal doors of the Lufthansa cargo warehouse at JFK Airport groaned open in the icy night, and in seconds, masked men with pistols and shotguns stormed inside. A terrified guard was shoved against the wall as duffel bags stuffed with bricks of cash were dragged toward a waiting van. The numbers were staggering, millions in untraceable bills, sitting there in neat stacks. $7 million gone in less than an hour. To this day, investigators admit most of that money never came back. But at that very moment, the most shocking part was not just the cash, it was the silence. Not a single alarm sounded. Not one shot was fired. It was clean, cold, and precise, as if the robbers had written the playbook. How did they pull off something so bold, right under the nose of one of the busiest airports in the world? Hours earlier, the same guard who now lay trembling on the floor had been sipping coffee in the break room. It was supposed to be a quiet shift. December 11, 1978, was cold and windy, the kind of night where even the buzzing overhead lights felt sleepy. Most of the airport workers had already gone home, leaving the warehouse unusually still. Nobody expected anything more than a few trucks of cargo rolling in. But somewhere in Queens, a crew of men was already gearing up. They weren't just any group of criminals. They were connected, tied to one of New York's most powerful mafia families. For weeks, maybe even months, they had studied the routines at JFK. They knew the timing of guard changes, the weak spots in security, and the exact location of the money shipment. Inside the van, tension filled the air. The leader checked his watch, then glanced back at the men dressed in dark coats and gloves. This was it. There would be no turning back. By 3 a.m., the truck rolled into position near the Lufthansa terminal. One of the guards on shift had no idea that the worst night of his life was about to begin. The plan was simple but dangerous. In and out before anyone could raise an alarm. As the van door slid open, heavy boots hit the pavement. The crew moved quickly, their footsteps muffled by the winter wind. The first man to spot them was the unlucky night watchman. At first, he thought it was just another delivery. But then he saw the masks. The barrel of a gun pressed against his chest before he could make a sound. His keys were snatched, and within seconds, the thieves had control of the building. Fear spread fast among the few employees on duty. They were bound and gagged, warned to stay quiet if they wanted to live. The robbers knew exactly where to go. Down the corridor, past a line of metal doors, was the secured vault filled with cash from overseas flights. Lufthansa had been moving millions of dollars every week through JFK, and everyone in the crew knew this was the big score. The leader ordered 2 men to guard the hostages while the others rushed toward the vault. The smell of oil and dust hung heavy in the air as they forced the lock. Then in front of them lay the prize, mountains of green bills bundled in stacks fresh from Europe. One thief muttered under his breath, unable to believe his eyes. The bags they had brought weren't enough. They had to improvise, filling every pocket, every corner of the duffel bags until they could hardly zip them shut. The job was going smoother than anyone expected. No alarms, no police sirens in the distance, no unexpected interruptions. It was too perfect, and that made it dangerous. They knew the longer they stayed, the greater the risk of everything falling apart. But greed is a heavy thing, and it made their hands slower. Every man wanted to carry as much as possible. The guard, tied up in the corner, struggled to keep his breathing calm. His eyes darted toward the red emergency phone on the wall, just a few feet away. If he could somehow break free, maybe he could warn someone. But the thought vanished as a robber barked at him, waving the gun closer. Finally, after what felt like hours but had only been minutes, the crew began dragging the bags toward the van. Each duffel thudded against the metal floor as it was tossed inside. The weight of money was shocking. It wasn't light paper anymore, it was bricks of fortune. They worked in silence, only whispering orders, every man focused on escape. One robber closed the last bag and looked around the room one final time. The warehouse that had been silent and harmless an hour ago was now the scene of one of the greatest robberies in American history. $7 million vanished into the night. But just as the van door slammed shut, the headlights of a vehicle swept across the far end of the lot. Tires crunched over ice. Someone was coming. The robbers froze. And at that exact second, everything hung on a razor's edge. Would they be caught red-handed with millions in stolen money? Or would fate give them the clean getaway they dreamed of?